Well, congratulations. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank
I
you
wanted
so
to ask you
much.
about the Austin connection. Magic Hour premiered at South by Southwest.
Mhm.
Is Austin still important to you guys and your filmmaking journey, even as you sort of moved on from this as hometown?
Well, I mean, Austin to me is sort of the epicenter of who I am as an artist in more ways than one. I think for me personally, I moved there in 95 to go to school at UT, but I've been coming there since 91 when Jay was in college. And that was a time when Slacker was playing at the midnight screenings at the Dobie, and Robert Rodriguez was a legend, and we were trying to figure out how to make our cheap movies. And I was going to see bands like Little Sister and Soul Hat, on Sixth Street at the Black Cat, with dollar PBR and hot dogs, and people were living in South Austin off of very little money, making their art, and it was not about getting it out into the world. It was about making art and subsisting, and it was so edifying for me. And so I think that when we talked about making a movie like Magic Hour, weirdly, it was kind of hearkening back to what's this all about at the end of the day? We've had so much like luck and fortune in our career to go do things like, The League and the morning show and all, Katie directing Diane Keaton in a movie. But at the end of the day, the two of us really, I think, are at our best and happiest when we've got a small group of people making a very personal story, which to me is like what I was doing in Austin back in the day. So it's really part and parcel with the town for me.
And I have definitely a less personal connection, but Austin's just one of my favorite cities in the whole world. Like it is, and I feel like I missed it in its like real heyday, but South by to me is like the perfect film festival.
Yeah.
They get it so right. The curation of the movies is great. The parties are great. Like it feels like there's like a very strong I don't know what this is for, no a-hole
Hmm.
policy. It just feels like a very good time celebrating
Yeah.
movies. And I've gotten to go with a couple of my films now, and it's kind of the best one.
Yeah. I mean, we were there 20 years ago with the Puffy Chair, like our first little $10,000 movie. And so it was nice to kind of like feel the spirit of that
Yeah.
in what we're doing with Magic
And
Hour.
I just feel like you always like meet like the best people. Like I remember when I was there with the freebie, I saw the premiere of Tiny Furniture was like Lena Dunham's first movie. Like that was her first
Yeah.
thing. So I just feel like it is a cool, it's just like it's always you always see the coolest small things and it feels like a nice percolator for greatness.
Well, as we get into Magic Hour, I feel like I'm going to ask you guys a bunch of really personal questions because you're married
Great.
people that made a movie about married people. And
Yeah.
so I sort of feel like you opened yourselves up to this. And
Yeah.
But it's also everything, like the only thing we've ever done is
yeah,
to
it's
make
true.
movies that are sort of about us, but not really about us, but like totally about
But
us.
I like that your question is like, you asked for this, guys. So uh, let's go.
So Kate, I heard you say that this movie was written primarily through like a voice memo or a voice note
Yeah,
on your
it
phone.
came. So Mark and I do try and do this trip every January, like just after the holidays. We've got two kids. Um, and the holidays are just such a mad push to the end.
It's
And
really a perfect way to lose yourselves as a couple, is to just like put all of your energy into family and events and everything.
coasting
Yeah.
and the whole thing. And it's exhausting. So we love this trip in like the beginning of January when the kids go back to school. We try and do like a long weekend that is just like not just a reset, but like a recentering, right? So
Just the two of us.
just the two of
Yeah.
us. And we had driven up to Big Sur and we were driving back and Mark was like, "What do you want from this year?" It was like it's like that quintessential New Year's conversation. What do you want from this year? And I'm actually trying to place this because it was for people who move pretty fast in this business, like we have an idea, we flesh it out, we shoot it, we go. Like this was a much longer process for us. But I think it was 2019. It was pre-pandemic. Uh, the world was different, but the business was sort of,
Was it that long
I
ago?
think it
I'll
was.
have to look at the file.
It definitely was before the pandemic,
Okay.
which makes me think it was either 2020, it might have been 2020
Yeah.
itself. Probably was 2020.
Yeah, what do you want from this year?
What do
That's
you
a
want for
good.
this year? A
Yeah,
global pandemic
yeah,
would be
yeah.
great. Let's do that. Um, things people never said. Um, so anyways, I was like, I want to make a movie. I'm thinking, it's okay. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about the date. I want to make a movie and I want to go back to the way we used to make movies. Like I want the Puffy Chair, I want the freebie, I want these like small, intimate, because I was like, I want to do something that's just for me. That has, it's not about like
Not
pleasing.
commerce, not
And I am
yeah.
a pleaser. Like all I want is validation and for people to love me. And I want people to be happy and like what I make. And so this one was like a real departure because I was like, I just need creatively to do something for me this time. And I want to go back to the way we used to make movies and not worry about the outcome and just make something that feels like it is like deeply personal and us. And so he was like, "Great, well let's figure it out." And so we sort of started like batting around ideas, and this is where our memories don't align. I remember being like, well, Puffy Chair was kind of about us, and the freebie was about people we sort of knew. And how do we mine our own personal lives um, without like, but we're married with kids and are kind of boring now. Uh, how do we mine our personal lives and make it a good movie? And so we started talking about like hypotheticals and really sort of digging into like this idea of codependency and like healthy codependency, but how healthy is codependency? But also, isn't that the goal of romance and love is to like not be able to live without someone? Like that is sort of like what all of the country music lyrics have taught us um growing up, and it's all that we're sort of trained to do, and yet at the same time you can't be codependent, you need to be independent. And so we sort of batted around that idea, and this idea this of Magic Hour, the story of Magic Hour just started flowing, and we started doing this voice to text memo in my notes app uh over the course of this 6.5 hour drive. And if you look at it today, it's like very, very close to what the movie is. So we took
Yeah.
that as like the framework and then sort of breathed some more life into it
Yeah, that's
over
how
the
I
course of
remember
it.
it too. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. The codependency really was
Yeah.
the thing that centered it for me and that made it feel like if you're gonna make a piece of relevant art these days, I think you have to be inherently vulnerable to a certain degree, particularly a small movie like this. So like I'm always thinking, what do we have to offer? You know? And I felt in that moment like Katie and I talk a lot about how we're very, very close. And maybe is it worth questioning whether we're too close? Because it's hard for us to be apart. And while um, it's been that way for a long time, I would say the pandemic further edified that for us and our family. And so I think there was this feeling of like, on one hand, like, yes, like this is why we're here. Let's be close. How great is it to feel like I don't know if I can survive without this person in my life? Um, but I know if you go to a therapist and you talk about that, like codependency is a four-letter word, except there's some elements of that we kind of feel like, well, maybe we own it. And I think the confusing feeling about that and the fact that we didn't have a stance and could use the movie to explore that a little bit, somewhat agnostically, was what got me excited.
There's a device that you use in the film which is them sending videos back and forth to one
Hmm.
another to help tell the story. Is that a way that you guys communicate at all or no?
No. We don't, but I love that device as
Yeah.
like a tool to sort of show who they were. And I like the idea of a movie that has basically two people in the frame for the whole time, and you know them a certain way, and you pull someone out of the frame, but you're still engaged in a conversation with that person. How do they look and feel different? And I think for me, when I look at the movie and I see them solo in the frame, in particular, watching David's character solo in the frame, he's still charming. He's still interesting, but there's like a soul sickness about him and there's like a sadness about him that to me is very close to how I am when I'm away from my family. And when I'm in those moments, I'm thinking, how lucky am I to feel so close to these people that I'm in pain right
Yeah.
now?
That I'm a
And
fraction of myself.
but this is kind of fucked up that I can't be by myself without this. So what do I do?
Yeah. It's also fun, in this film in particular, like all of the cell phone videos, you realize that like when we're with them in the desert, there's no technology. Like there's no TV, there's no phones. At one point there's like an answering machine. But it's sort of devoid of all contact.
Devoid of all contact.
Devoid of all
Yeah, it's
contact.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you mentioned this. You've developed this really kind of trusted circle of collaborators, and recently that's been extended to your daughter Aura and another Katie directed, Mark
Yes.
written film. Can you talk about, and I know she was in a short that you did as well, but can you talk about her wanting to be an actress and with
Yeah.
both
I
of you
mean,
being in this?
she came out of the womb wanting to be an
Oh
actor.
yeah, she was ready to
Uh,
go.
I don't know if there was really no denying it. It was really just a matter of when that was going to be. And we had always said, like, just wait. Like, once you start acting and being on sets, like that's an adult's world. Like you
Yeah.
are going to be thrust into it. And it doesn't matter how many people say we're going to take such good care of them. You're surrounded by adults. Your friends are adults. You're like, that's going to be the thing. So we really tried to like put the brakes on it for as long as possible. And she did like some musical theater programs and some other theater programs like while she was in school and
But
finally,
she knew.
yeah,
She was just like, I'm waiting.
yeah. She looked at
I'm
us like
waiting.
halfway through high school and was like, I know you keep saying that Hollywood is going to like break my spirit and my soul. And she's like, but you know what else is also going to do that?
Oh.
High school girls. I was like, valid point.
Yeah.
Valid point. And so we sort of loosened the reins a little bit and we made a short together.
We put her through like our
Camp.
experience, which is like, oh, you're gonna make a no budget short and like you're gonna carry sandbags and you're gonna be in charge of
You're gonna
crafty and
eat
catering.
terrible food.
And you're gonna have to figure out how to light this scene and where the microphones go, and you're gonna work a 12-hour day and we'll scare her away. And she was like, I love it. I
Yeah.
Oh.
love it.
And they were like, okay,
I
well,
love it so much.
that was a short. So let's go do a feature together. And we're like, we're going to shoot almost all exteriors in Maine in November. And it was cold. Like we had water bottles freezing outside, like, and while we are shooting. And that little stinker was so good
Yeah.
that we
So
couldn't quite deny it or hold her back. And so she ventured off into the world and like 4 months into auditioning, booked a show.
yeah.
So she's flew the nest.
Yeah, she spends half her time in Vancouver shooting on this Disney show, Coven Academy, and half the time in the house. And we're currently breaking that version of the codependency in the Duplass family. So it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. But we were happy. Like the fun thing we were able to do, I think, with our short and with the feature Bear Town that we did was like it was really important for me, especially as she was like couldn't have even anticipated that she would have like booked a Disney Plus show, but especially being sort of thrust into success is to be like, no, 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 it doesn't always have to be fancy. Like sometimes the very best things can come from just you and your friends and a camera And you can do it small and you can do it simply, and it can still be really special and impactful. Because I think for me, that's what Puffy Chair did when I was 25. It was it like, and it was my sort of North Star when it came to making Magic Hour, was like that. I want to go back to that. And we find ourselves, it doesn't matter like the League, Magic Hour, or Morning Show, or Legion, or any of these sort of fancier things that we've gotten to do, like our hearts still are drawn back to doing something like the Puffy Chair, because creatively it is like so satisfying. So being able to teach her that and show her that and just be like, this is always here waiting for you. Like you always have this in you.
Well, I don't want to not talk more about Magic Hour, but it's so easy to get into spoilers that I want to avoid because
Thank you.
there's a lot of really exciting, interesting things that happen.
Mhm.
What else do you guys want to know about this film as they head into theaters?
Well, I will share like some interesting surprises. You know, you make a movie and you think you know what it's about, and then you show it to an audience, and then they tell you what it's about.
Mm,
And we've learned this in Austin. We've learned this as we've shown this movie in theaters across the U.S. and now around the world. Is that there's this thing about connection and romantic connection in particular that we so deeply value. And I think it's because it's part of the legacy of our stories, you know? And there are people who say, I'm not a romantic, but I think to a certain degree, we're all romantics and we all want that. And as we've shown this movie, we've noticed everybody sticks around for the Q&A, and they want to talk, and they all have a version of a love in their life that is um, either I lost it
mm,
and I don't know what to do, or I've never had this and I want this so badly. And thank you for showing me this. Or the most interesting part is I have this and now I'm like terrified of losing it. And I'm sort of, in some ways, sort of pre-grieving the potential loss because I know that this thing won't last forever. And I've watched sort of this couple on screen struggle with how to hang on to it, and the specter of who you once were hanging over you. And can you grip that, you know, and let that go? So I guess it
And
was
oh
the
God, I've never even considered that it might go away.
yeah,
What,
the
who am I if it goes away?
and that has been really just beautiful. Like, and so I would just say, like, come to this movie and bring someone that you love or that you used to love or that you would
Or you
like to
want to
love.
love?
And like come have these conversations. And Katie and I are gonna try to do as many like in-person Q&As. We're gonna travel around the
Yeah,
country a
it
lot.
really is, as you know, as of right now, like it's a really fun movie to talk about and to go deep on, because I think everyone has their own feelings about it.
Yeah.
And I do think, to Mark's point, like there's so many different types of loss in love, whether it's just a simple breakup or falling out with a dear friend, or, you know, something worse. But like the impact that every relationship has on you and the presence that's left behind, I think is an interesting thing to think about. And because I think every relationship changes
Yeah.
you, and that is a mark of that love. And sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small and sometimes it completely shifts your existence.
Also, quick validation for anyone watching this. I know we're being vague. There's a reason for this because there is a spoiler in this movie.
Have fun watching.
Yeah, if you've seen movies we've made like The One I Love or Safety Not Guaranteed, we hold pieces of information because it should feel like you're watching a very small, intimate play, but there's something in there. So also come see this movie so that you can ultimately have the deeper conversation once you know what that is.
And I'm glad you're doing those Q&As because people are going to want to process. They've got some
Yeah,
questions, right? I mean,
yeah,
and they're going to throw their boots at the screen when I don't ask those questions because I want you to enjoy the movie. And
there
I'm
you go.
not.
Exactly. So maybe we revisit
Yeah,
this
we'll
in a
come. Yeah,
year.
That's
come
Give
right.
everyone plenty of time to have seen it.
I did just spoil Lonesome Dove for one of my coworkers, and I was like, sorry, man, Gus dies.
The
Sorry.
water
Yeah.
moccasins. It
And
was the water
yeah,
moccasins,
I
wasn't it?
was
Yeah,
like, eh.
yeah,
So there's still that. But
yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I really
Hey,
appreciate
No,
it.
appreciate you.
say hi to Dripping
I
Springs.
will.
Please say hi to the Continental Club Happy Hour, where all
Absolutely.
the amazing studio musicians are playing for free, and buy them drinks because they're playing for free.
Yeah.
And say hi to Polvos for us.
Yeah.
Um,
Get that Goliath
get that
burrito
Goliath burrito,
and eat
baby.
it for 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
All
you.
right.
Enjoy. Have a good one. Bye.